The house in the Blackwater swamp deep in the swamps of Louisiana, where the fog never lifts and the trees grow so thick that sunlight can't break through the canopy, stands an old house. They call it the house in Blackwater. The old folks in the village of Knott's Creek, 10 miles from the swamp, never speak of it aloud. If you ask, they just avert their eyes and mumble something about a curse. But in 1976, a group of students from Baton Rouge University, 3 guys and 1 girl, decided to find out if the house really existed. Their names were Tom, Kevin, Jeremy, and Lavra. They were passionate about folklore and were collecting legends for a class project. When they heard about a house covered in mold and shadows, a house some said was still inhabited, they couldn't resist. Day 1, the swamp greeted them with silence. No birdsong, no buzzing insects, only the squelch of mud beneath their feet and the creaking of trees. The path to the house took 3 hours. They found it as dusk was falling, a black silhouette of a 2-story building, with a collapsed porch and windows weeping a thick, oil-like moisture. Lavra said she felt like someone was watching her. Tom laughed, but the laugh was strained. They brought their tents inside, deciding to sleep in what used to be the living room, to soak in the atmosphere. That night, they heard footsteps upstairs, but according to them, the house was empty. Day 2, Kevin was the first to wake. He looked pale and said had had a dream about a man with a sack over his head, dripping water. The man stood in the corner of the room, whispering in an unknown language. Tom mocked him, but jumped at every creak. They explored the house. The kitchen still had pots on the stove, as if someone had just cooked a meal. In one room, they found an old photo album, all the faces scratched out with nails. In the basement, a carved wooden coffin, locked in chains. When they opened it, yes, they were that naive. It was empty, but the chains began to rattle on their own, as if something inside wanted to lock them shut again. Night 2, Lavra disappeared. They searched for her all night, but found nothing. Not in the house, not in the swamp. Only a new charcoal drawing had appeared on the wall of the former bedroom. A girl in a tent, with a tall figure in a horn mast standing beside her. The caption read, "The third night will be the last." Day 3, only Tom, Kevin, and Jeremy remained. They decided to leave, but the path back was gone. The swamp had changed. No matter where they walked, they ended up back at the house. Compasses spun wildly, and the GPS lost all signal. And then it began. Laughter. Inhuman, distorted, something ran past the windows. Jeremy screamed and ran into the forest. His scream cut off moments later. Tom and Kevin hid in the basement. There they saw the coffin again and open. Inside was Lavra, her eyes wide open, alive but silent. She just lay there, unblinking. The final night, only Kevin was left. He recorded a final message, a cassette tape, later found by investigators: "I don't know where I am. The house is breathing, I swear. The walls are pulsing like skin." Tom went upstairs and never came back. Lavra laughs, but she's not Laura. She looks at me like she knows when he'll die. This house won't let us go. It's alive. It feeds on us. The recording cuts off with the sound of approaching footsteps. Epilogue: a month later, the house was found, empty. No sign of the students, only the cassette remained. And on the wall, scrawled in charcoal, "They were delicious. Bring more." Since then, the locals have placed crosses along the edge of the swamp, and no one is advised to go